First question, and you can just jump in. How did Bank Street prepare you academically and socially for your high school, college, graduate school, and professional experiences?
I think that more than anything, a Bank Street education really taught me to want to learn. I think that without the pressure of performing to get a particular grade, really sort of learning something to feel like you had mastered it, I think that more than anything prepared me for high school, for college, in particular in college, allowed me to explore a whole host of subjects. I ended up being an art history major. I currently work in finance. So I obviously have many different interests and took a couple of classes in all of them. So I think that a willingness to not always succeed and to try new things, I think that was the best academic preparation I could have asked for.
Bank Street helped me in two different ways. The first really is the in-classroom portion of it, and I always felt like I was prepared when I went to high school and to college, and not only was prepared, but knew how to prepare in the case that I was being tested or pushed. I think the second was that it taught me to look at life and everything that I did from a different lens, from a social lens, to look at not only what it is that I was doing, but what is the social impact of what I'm doing, and to care really about how it impacts the world, how it impacts my community, and really to push me in many ways to try to find experiences to do that.
Something that I definitely learned here, and I was here for 9 years from age 5 to 13, it's just there's such a strong sense of community here, and it really feels like family. And I've sort of taken that with me, not only into the different schools that I've been to in high school and in college, but I actually find myself in my current job that I work at, trying to affect change and trying to make the community that I'm in, this work environment that I'm in, X amount of hours a day, trying to make that just a better environment, a better place to be. And I think that started here with just the ability also that's and the allowance is given to the students to be able to recognize a problem or recognize an issue and give the power to the students to sort of come up with a way to look at it, a way to deal with it, and a way to go about, making this change. And I've sort of done that at every stage in my life, and actually find myself, again, in my current job doing that.
At Bank Street, I'd wake up every day and be so excited to go to school. Meanwhile, my friends from home would wake up and say, I don't want to go, and I hate school. And then going to Putney, where some of these kids were coming from schools that they didn't really enjoy, coming to another great school like Putney, which has similar values to Bank Street. I remember just wanting to bring my values from Bank Street and incorporate them into the school. And immediately, when I was on campus there, I was so ready to take leadership positions and kind of bring what I learned to this new school.
I think Bank Street really encourages you to always be sort of present to your environment, to have your eyes open to one of my favorite sort of literature things is Henry James's suggestion that you should always be one on whom nothing is lost. And I think Bank Street really encourages you to really experience your environment, your situation, the world vibrantly and acutely. We had this one exercise, I think it was in the 11s, where we went to St. John the Divine, and we were supposed to look at all of the details as if we'd never seen them before, even though we've been passing, St. John just about every day, or maybe not every day, but a lot. And people started just noticing things that they hadn't really paid attention to before. And I think Bank Street encourages you to do that just all the time, and not to just, skate through sort of with your head, all introverted, though, introversion and reflection is encouraged as well. But just to, be present and alert. And I think that's something that I hope to always be.
There was a real value for the individual. And as being part of a community, valuing each other and valuing and being valued ourselves for who we were individually. Empathy and compassion and some, really basic tools of how to share with someone who is different and how to appreciate someone who is different, which I think when you learn at such an early age, when it becomes integrated into how you interact and communicate with people, I think that's the kind of skill that that serves you well academically and socially and in life generally. And I think that was one of the key elements of the education here.
I'm Hispanic. My mom drove me from the Bronx every day to school and picked me up every day from school to go to a school like this. And afterwards, when I went to Riverdale, it was a very clear I was a clear minority at Riverdale. There were, there were 2 African American kids and maybe 2 Hispanic kids out of 100 in my grade. And you never even thought of that. Maybe part of the reason was we were younger and we didn't feel it here at Bank Street. But looking back on it, it wasn't that anyone made you feel any different here at Bank Street. It was just so clear that everyone was accepted. And when I got to Riverdale, it was a little difficult because it was so clear that I was the minority. And Bank Street really, let that go away.
In 7th grade, Allie McCursey's class, we went to Ellis Island. And in Ellis Island, Allie probably remembers because we were in the same grade, we had to pretty much take on a family from a different country. And I believe we were Irish. And I never really thought of taking on a different role in that aspect. So it was about 5 of us. We created names. I was Josephine. I will never forget. And we went to Ellis Island. We really did our research beforehand. We kind of took on that role of being an immigrant. And I remember after that, I went home and I was like, well, what's my background? Like, where am I from? Where did our family come from? And when I came back the next day, a lot of other people in my class did the same thing. And we all really had a discussion about where we all came from. And, so not only was it diverse in the fact that we all accepted each other, but I think also really embracing our culture and our background and not forgetting that and sharing it with each other and realizing, yes, there are differences, but there are many similarities.
When I was 5, I had to take the test to go to private kindergartens in the city, and I bombed. And I did so badly on the test that I couldn't get in anywhere. Except for Bank Street, which didn't look at the test. And somehow I, snuck my way into Bank Street. And took me a long time to learn how to read. I always was in the remedial handwriting class and all that sort of thing. And then, it's kind of hard to say exactly what happened at Bank Street, but I went on from Bank Street to Fieldston and then went from there to Harvard and then went from there. I was at Yale briefly and then got my MDiv at Union Theological Seminary and then to Columbia where I am now, collecting degrees. My parents are ready for that to kind of come to an end here. But I have to say that I really look back, having been lucky enough to go to a lot of really exceptional schools, at Bank Street as the key to that. And as, not just the foundation, but really as the, in some ways, the most important and most exceptional educational environment that I've been able to be in.